continue Jimmy Stein's countdown of the roster. We're also going to give a shout out to the ladies basketball team as they have gotten a couple of big wins in the SEC tournament so far these last couple of days. And we're going to talk about some of the performances in the NFL Combine, Slade Bolden in particular. We're going to talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Bama.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey again, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, how are you today?
Awesome. You know what I just learned seconds ago, which is exciting to me? The game against LSU Saturday, the basketball game, is going to be on CBS. I didn't know that. That's going to have a real March Madness feel to it. Alabama on CBS. So I say the postseason gets started Saturday.
Yeah, that's is on CBS. I think it's at 11 o'clock. Not exactly the best time in the world, but I'm really okay with it. I'm going to actually be calling some more state championship games tomorrow, going on at Legacy Arena. That's a lot of fun. If anybody's looking for something to do, anytime between whenever we broadcast till tomorrow at like 5:45 is the last game. And I can't remember. I think it's Enterprise against James Clemens. Kind of a weird matchup for 7A. But the 6A matchup is like Huffman and Coleman. And my God, that's going to be a lot of fun. This Coleman team is coached by a former Mountain Brook assistant. So he's under Bucky McMillan. So he's going to go up and down the court a lot. And we're not going to get into all this because, frankly, some folks that listen to this are out of the state of Alabama. They may not even know what the hell I'm talking about. But if you are looking for something to do Friday or Saturday, bad cell phone over to Legacy Arena, you will not regret that. Jimmy, let's do really quickly, give a shout out to the ladies. Getting another big win. They won over Auburn the first day of the SEC tournament. Then they got a win last night over Georgia. I mean, surprising fashion, Georgia was the 6th seed. They're ranked pretty highly in women's basketball, and they won 74-62. So it wasn't like it was a buzzer beater or anything.
No, great performance. I tell you, Brittany Davis is on fire. She's playing unbelievable down the stretch. I think she was a second team selection, all SEC, but frankly, she's playing like a first teamer right now. She's been unbelievable. She had, I think, 26 points, 5 boards, 5 steals. Gonna get tough. Alabama plays Tennessee today, but Alabama beat Tennessee down the stretch. So we'll see. So, but congratulations to the girls for putting it all together here at the end. And I think they're in contention for an NIT bid if they don't win the SEC tournament.
I did see they were projected like next 4 out after that win. That would take them to 17-13 if they lose against Tennessee. Now, if they beat Tennessee, you'd have to think, okay, they're at least in the next 4 out. So they'll be a little bit closer. But let's face it, nobody's probably beaten South Carolina. I would love to get a win over the Vols and at least be in the conversation. It'd be nice to have this crew of young women head to the NCAAs. Really quickly, we'll scoot through a few other things, and then we'll get to your countdown. Alabama baseball and softball teams are home all weekend. Alabama baseball, Murray State in a 3-game series. And then, let's see, the girls, they are going to play Texas, Miami of Ohio, and Eastern Illinois for the T-Mobile Classic. That ought to be kind of fun.
Yeah. What was weird is I did a little thing for Crimson and Coffee this morning, my morning kind of review what's going on. And I did mention that Alabama softball was playing in the T-Mobile Classic and against Miami of Ohio, Texas, and Eastern Illinois. And then realized that Eastern Illinois is not in the T-Mobile Classic. They're just playing Alabama Monday. So that's just sort of weird to me that you'd play 3 consecutive days, 2 of them in a classic. One of them's just a standalone game. So, but regardless, Alabama enters 16-0. I'm telling, and they're playing like freaking 5 games in the next 3 days. So we could be talking about a 21-0 Alabama team next week.
Isn't it a little cocky that we call everything classics? We don't know if it's a classic yet. You call it a classic after it's happened. But everybody loves to say How about just a
When we
vent?
run rule their ass. When we run rule their ass for 3 straight days, is that going to be a classic? I don't think so.
And finally, Jimmy, wanted to talk about something you wrote about on your Crimson and Coffee. Slade Bolden ran a 4.66 40 at the event. He also had an impressive vertical leap at 32 inches, and his broad jump measured 9 foot 8 inches. And so I guess the only question is, what round will the Patriots draft him in, right?
I even mentioned that what's funny to me about it is, and it will be really funny if he ends up with the Patriots, even I thought this was an Alabama thing, that Alabama fans, but no, this is a national deal because even Daniel Jeremiah, the outstanding expert on the draft from NFL Network, while Slade Bolden was working out and they were commenting about Slade, he specifically said, is there any doubt that this guy's not going to end up on the Patriots? And then that got Rich Eisen laughing, and they were laughing about it, going, yep, he's a Patriot. And Daniel Jeremiah was like, yeah, laugh now. He's going to catch 6 balls in the first game. And to me, that's great because, it's a funny joke, and it's obviously about how the Patriots have had this long line of white slot receivers that were not highly thought of entering the draft, by the way. And then they end up being superstars like Wes Walker and Danny Amendola and obviously Julian Edelman, who Slade says he fashions his game after. So Slade wasn't great. I'd hoped for a better 40 time from him. It wasn't great, but if you were expecting great, you don't know Slade's game. This is not Slade's event. Slade was lucky to be invited, and he was lucky to work out. I think a real goal for Slade was to show adequacy, not, oh my gosh, he ran a 4.4. No, that's not his game. Show adequacy. I noticed one thing, Luke, on the list this week of the fastest times ever ran at the combine. If you look at the fastest times ever, that list is not populated with NFL stars. They were combine stars, but they weren't NFL stars. There is a minimum adequate number that you have to put up to play in the NFL, and I think Slade did that.
It doesn't make for a great inspirational workout shirt, though. Achieve adequacy.
The bare minimum.
There used to be a comedy bit he had, and I'm not a huge Sandler fan. I think he gets a little too lowbrow sometimes, but he had an old comedy tape where he was like interviewing for a job, and he said, "Look, I'm willing to start at the bottom, and I'm also willing to stay there." And I wonder if that's Slade Bolden's pitch. The Patriots like, "Hey, look,
be the 53rd man on the roster."
I think that's all you want to do is be. The key phrase is on the roster, that prepositional phrase at the end. Jimmy, let's go ahead and talk about run your pool. Look, March Madness is about a week away. That means you need to start thinking now about where you're going to be running your brackets this year. Are you going to for the usual, or are you going to look for the best? The best is runyourpool.com. We've done our homework, and we know this. Along with our standard brackets, Run Your Pool offers this types of games, Fiverr or PickX, both really fun in their own way. They have options to edit scoring, and they offer more intel to make your picks, all the stuff you don't find at ESPN or CBS. Clearly, we believe Run Your Pool. That's what the Locked On crew is going to be doing, because, like I said, we're running our bracket ourselves. There's no truer test than that. You want to believe in your product, so we use it. If you want to play against us for a shot at a cash prize, join us at runyourpool.com/lockedon. And while you're there, create your own pool for your friends and family. Enter Pure Madness at checkout for $10 off your custom pool. All the rules and details will be available there. That's runyourpool.com/lockedon for your chance to cash prize. We can't wait to see your bad self there. Also want to tell you about Built Bar. It's that time of year where you probably gave up on your New Year's resolution. You might have had a New Year's resolution, had a New Year's resolution, and given up on that. I don't know. But if you're eating Built Bars, you can stick to one where it says if your resolution was eat more Built Bars, you're probably still on it. Or if your resolution was to lose weight, you can eat Built Bars. That'll help with that. You really need to try the Puffs. You're missing out if you hadn't tried the Puffs. They are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy. They're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. They're a treat covered in 100% real chocolate, like all Built Bar stuff is. All Built Bars, just covered in 100% real chocolate. Can't beat that. Like I said, even the puffs. Most Built Bars contain about 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. You don't want that crap. Go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order with your bad self. I've now said with your bad self 3 times in this podcast. I don't have to do it for the rest of the week. Jimmy, let's go back to your rankings here for a minute. I think we left off at 51. So we'll go to number 50, who is Devontae Smith, a safety, who out of Ohio. Not that Devontae Smith. I would love to have that Devontae Smith back. But, yeah, he's on the team, and he's a safety, and he's got a lot to live up to.
Yeah, one interesting thing about him when I was spanning over the spring roster, he's the smallest defensive back on the team at 6 foot 185. That's the smallest guy. Yet he's playing safety and not corner, or he did last season. He could be moved to corner. I mean, it's obviously a guy that can play both, but he was a safety last season when he redshirted. What's interesting to me again is the size, and it's a great lesson about what new football is. New football is not Mark Barron at safety. New football is cornerbacks at safety. And that's what Devontae Smith brings to us, just a lot of coverage ability. I've heard from inside the program that they're excited about him, that they really think he might be something. It's just that the top of the depth chart is just too crowded. It's hard to believe that he would be playing a significant role on defense this fall, not with Jordan Battle and DeMarco Helms returning, to say nothing of Brian Branch and Malachi Moore, who also plays safety. So probably won't see Devontae this fall except on special teams, but he is a guy to look for in the future. I think he might be a thing.
All right, we're going to zip through these others in this group of 5 a little bit more quickly. Actually, I want you to spend a little time on Keanu Coat, and I think I'm saying that correct. We've gone with Cott and Keat and
it's Coat or Coot.
Williams.
It might be Coot.
I think it's Coat, but you could be right. I've been told it's Coat, and that doesn't mean I'm right.
I'm going to say Coat, and I'm not going to be surprised if it's Coot. But here's why I'm excited about this guy. When we signed him, it was like, On3 has him at a 5-star. When we signed him, it was like, he's really good. If he puts on weight, he'll be something. Okay, fast forward a year. Dude is already 231. He's 231 right now. And we're just now getting to his redshirt freshman season. He'll probably be even a little bit bigger by this fall. Man, what an exciting guy this is. Again, one of the reasons he's at 49 and why Devontae Smith is at 50, that sounds like they're really low on the list, and they are. But, top 44 mathematically means you're sort of in the 2 deep, right? I don't know that Coat can get in the 2 deep because of Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, and Chris Braswell. That leaves one spot for it's either him or Jeremiah Alexander or even Quindarius Robinson. So I don't know that it'll be in the 2 deep, and that's why he's at 49 and not a little higher. But that does not mean I'm not super high on him. I think this is a guy 1 year from now, when we're doing this list next year, he's going to be up there. He's not going to be where he is right here.
All right, I'm going to group some of these other guys. Tim Keenan, who is 6'2", 343. Damon Payne, who is 6'4", 303. Tommy Brockermeyer, 6'5", 304. Damian George, 6'6", 333. Those are your next 4 dudes. And it's hard for me to believe Tim Keenan isn't the biggest dude in that group, but he's not. But just sort of give an overview of all of them.
Yeah, these are all contenders for the 2 deep. Again, that's why they're lower than 44, but they're on the cusp. These are all guys likely to be significant players at Alabama one day. I just don't think that their time is here just yet, but it's close. Again, these are guys that are in the mid-40s this year that I think when we do this list again next spring have moved up 10, 12 spots because they'll be significant players a year from now. And that's fine. It's a developmental sport. It gives these guys another year to get ready, and they're all on the cusp of being significant players this year. Tim Keenan might even play some in our short yardage defense. Damon Payne needed to add weight. He did. He's a fantastic 6'4", 303. He's a guy. We only have 4 guys that we know will be in the first team rotation on the defensive line. Damon Payne could easily be the 5th or 6th guy. He's got to beat out Jamil Burrows, got to beat out Jamarian Latham to be that 5th or 6th guy, and he could be in the rotation right now. I wouldn't rule that out. Brockermeyer is in the mix. We have 2 openings at tackle. It's wide open. He's one of the guys in the mix. To me, he's a guy that even first week of spring, they're going to be excited to see him and say, okay, now what do we got? He just needed more time. He's got to gain what I call functional strength. It's not just weight room strength. It's like, some guys are pretty good in the weight room, but they can't, pick up a bunch of firewood. Sometimes you have to do that. Not so much in football, but sometimes you got to pick up firewood or knock over a tree or lift a car off somebody on the side of the road. That's, functional strength. And really what I mean is being able to push around defensive linemen. He's got to still get there. But Brockermeyer is on the cusp of being a starting tackle. Damian George did start a year ago, lost his job, but right back squarely in the mix to be a starting tackle this season. And now he's got a little game experience on the others. Again, there's a reason. I think that number 44 number, we haven't got to 44 yet. Damian George is 45. 44 is a key number. That just sort of means, hey, you should be in the 2 deep. These are guys I would project to be in the 2 deep or should be. These are the guys that are just on the cusp.
Jimmy, let me tell everybody about Bet Online. Football might be over for this season, but basketball is in full steam ahead, as we know from all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land. BetOnline.net is the number 1 spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. It's not just basketball. They have everything you want. Hockey, boxing, UFC, whatever you want, they got it over at BetOnline. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and actions. BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, so let's move on to your next grouping here, Jimmy. And all I have to do is pull it up. It seems so simple, yet it's not for me.
This morning.
Number 44 is Amari Kite and Kendall Randolph. I guess
I did a tie.
You cheat even on your own tests.
I did, and I just thought it would be interesting to do a tie just because, you don't expect that. And really, these 2 tied because I sort of see them as the same guy. You might go, they're not the same guy. Where are you getting? Kendall Randolph even plays tight end. Well, we didn't know for sure Kendall Randolph was coming back. I had already projected in another piece I did that if Kendall's not back, that this year's guy who's going to spend a lot of time at tackle but also play tight end would be Amari Kite. I sort of said he's going to be the next Kendall Randolph and play that role. But Kendall came back. They're both in the same boat in the sense they are both solidly in the mix at offensive tackle. I think both of them have a legitimate shot to win the starting offensive tackle job. Notice I have them ahead of Tommy Brockermeyer just slightly. But both of them have, I would say, an equal shot to win the offensive tackle starting spot or a number 2 spot. Or Kendall, if not both of them, could end up being a starting tight end on the short yardage unit. So to me, they're sort of the same guy. Kendall's just a little bit older with a little more experience. It'll be funny to me. I mean, obviously Kendall has to leave after this year, and then next season we could see Amari Kite as an extra tight end blocker if he's not a starting tackle. But that's why I put them at a tie. I sort of see them in the same position.
Then you have Terrence Ferguson. You may have him a little low. Yeah, you've got him as a dark horse. You even think, okay, I guess you're thinking you may even have him a little high. I'm thinking you have him a little low. I really like Terrence Ferguson on the offensive guard position.
I do. I really like him. That's why I put it. I think he is, even at 43, a good chance to be a starting guard, to go from a redshirt year to being a starter. He's got a real good chance at that. Now, Alabama returns some interior guys for Terrence Ferguson to start. That means you have to kick out Javion Cohen outside to tackle, which could very easily happen to make room for Ferguson. He could prove to be one of our starting 5. I think one of the reasons, though, that I have him at 43 is he did redshirt. He hasn't played a single down. We haven't seen him play in a game yet. also the offensive line is the weak part of the team. I'm ranking this team from best to first. Even some of the starting offensive linemen, Luke, may be outside of the best 22 players on the team. We have to prepare ourselves to see that with our eyeballs soon, and we'll see. But I think a lot of the offensive linemen will be lower than people want to see, but it's just the reality of this football team.
Then you have two dudes along the defensive line in Jamil Burroughs and Jamarian Latham. At the very least, I would flip-flop them.
Right.
I feel like Burroughs can be more of a contributor this particular year, but at the very, I would probably have Terrence Ferguson ahead of both of them, and I would flip-flop these guys.
I can see that, and obviously, when you do a rankings like this, you open yourself up for, and I want to stir discussion on the On3 message board. Hey,
Jimmy, you've gone silent on me, bud. I don't know what happened, what you did, what happened, but you're silent there. So here's what I don't know that I don't think people can hear you. Can you hear me is the question. Raise your hand if you can hear me. Right, there you go. All right, so here's what we're going to do, Jimmy. I'm going to take you out of the equation because I think you have hit a button, Tandy 2000, that has relegated it to you've used up all 1 gigs that you have. Is gig small? I don't even know this technology. All right, Jimmy, I'm going to let you say roll tide, even though nobody can hear it. Just mouth it. Okay, there we go. Jimmy out of the equation here, and I'm going to finish up his own list. He was talking about Jamarian Latham and Jamil Burroughs. Then he's got Christian Story and Terrion Arnold, both defensive backfield. Story, a safety. Look, I've had a man on Christian Story ever since I got to call him and he won a state championship for Lynette in football a few years ago. He played quarterback and defense then. He won the MVP. He was absolutely unstoppable. Of course, he's Caden Story's older brother. Caden Story just saw him playing for Lynette at the basketball championships too. I'm a little. I thought Christian Story would be more of a thing. Yeah, I knew he lacked some of the top end speed, but I think he's a great player, and I think Christian Story can contribute. I think Jimmy may actually have him a little low this particular year. So if I had to pick out one guy that nobody's counting on to be a big deal at Alabama this year, I swear I would pick Christian Story. Now that didn't go for the 5 stars we signed this year. I'm talking about a dude that everybody forgets he's on the team. I'm telling you, I'm really, really high on Christian Story. And if I weren't really high on Christian Story, it might be this guy, even though I think I would violate my own rules. That's Terrion Arnold, who Jimmy has at number 39. Looks ready to play, super athletic. All you got to do is go back and look at his high school film. Kind of shocked he didn't get to play a little bit more this past season, especially with some of the issues we had in the backfield. I really thought he'd get to play some. But this is a guy I think that you're going to have a hard time keeping off the field. Now, I'm in the same category I just did for Christian Story because I think people are expecting Terrion Arnold to contribute this year. I think people believe in Terrion Arnold getting on the field a lot. See, what I was saying about Story is I don't think people really remember he's with the team. So I think that's part of the situation. Anywho, that's going to wrap it up for today's Locked On Bama podcast. It's Friday. We got tech issues, and so we're just going to go for that. But we will be back with you Monday. We'll talk about Bama LSU and Bama in the SEC tournament and more countdown from Jimmy. We'll talk to you guys later. Until